Hi there, Josh here. Welcome to Frames Per Second. Today we are shooting my least favorite film, Portra. Okay, that's a bit of an overstatement. I just think it's a bit overrated. Still a good film. It's obviously professional quality, but it's not one of my favorites. We're going to be shooting this on the Pentax K1000, going around Melbourne, so let's go have some fun. Okay, like I said in the intro, Portrait 400, while a good film, is not amongst my favorites. I know everybody loves it, and it seems to be everybody's go-to when they have the money for it, because these days it is expensive. But for me, I find that Portrait 400 kind of lacks personality. It has decent color, very fine grain, but there's nothing about it that really sticks out to me in a way that makes me be like, yeah, I love that look. It tends to be a lot flatter. The profile is more amongst the skin tones, the browns and the yellows, and I find that other colors just don't pop out as much. And while it is nice to have low contrast film just so you can get more shadow detail, I do kind of like films that are grainier, even if you do lose some of that detail in the shadows. And of course, this day was a cloudy day as well, and I find that Portrait 400 has the most personality when you're shooting in direct light. Like when there's a nice hard light, whether it be sunlight or colored lights. If there's more direct light hitting it, I feel like it just looks nicer. That's not to say the film is terrible, but for me, I just think it's a little bit overrated. And here, like, it's decent, there's nice pastel colors, but there's just something about it that's not like hitting me and like really drawing my attention as much as other films I like more. Like, I find that Kodak Gold and Portra 800 have a bit more personality, they're a bit contrastier, you get a bit more of a color punch to it, and with Fuji films, the colors are a bit more realistic, and so greens, red, blues have a bit more of a pop to them as well. And now I really loved this location with the pigeons and this woman that was like feeding them. I do wish I got more shots. I do wish I got more of these shots in focus, but yeah, a bit too late for that. But yeah, something about Portrait 400, even though it is good and it is a professional grade film, I just find it a little bit lacking. And I do find that I do have to like play with the exposure and color a bit more than I would other films. Now here, I think because you are using colored lights and it's direct light, it's like nice hard light from these neon signs, the colors are quite nice here. But yeah, when the sky is cloudy and it's overcast, you lose a lot of the personality of it. Now here, this photo of a stranger, the pink color would have popped a bit more if I was shooting, say, Gold or Portrait 800. And if you're wondering why I like Portrait 800 and not 400, it is because it is a different formula. Portrait 400 and 160 are new formulas that were released in 2011, while Portrait 800 is like a 30-year-old formula, I believe. 80s, I think, maybe even earlier when Portrait 800 came out. And it's based on Vision 2 technology, while Portrait 160 and 400 is based on Vision 3 technology. And because of that, it does have a different look. The grain structure is a bit different. I think it's a bit more contrasty. The colors pop a bit more. And that, for me, that's something that Portrait 400 kind of lacks, and I wish it did have a bit more of. So that's why I do tend to shoot Portrait 800 a lot more these days, along with Kodak Ultramax and Kodak Gold, just because I want a bit more of that color saturation, that punch, and a bit more of that contrast. Of course, you can add that in to an extent in post, but I feel like with Portrait 400, I had to play with it a bit more than other films. And of course, this is all up to personal preference. I know some people that love pastel colors, they love that more earthy tone of Portrait 400, but for me, I'm kind of a color fiend and I love when colors pop, and I just think that Portrait 400 doesn't really do that unless you have direct sunlight or hard light hitting it. And so that's not to say that these shots are bad. Like these, I liked a lot of the shots I got on this roll, but yeah, I just feel like there's other films I'd be more happy to shoot and I just wish were more available than Portra 400. But yeah, unfortunately a lot of films are out of stock these days because it's gotten popular again, but also the supply and demand is a bit insane at the moment. Same with the shipping. But yeah, I do kind of think Portra 400 is overrated. It's not a bad film, it definitely does a good job and it's good quality, but for me it just lacks personality. Now, here we are at Flower Drum, which is this really well-known restaurant in Melbourne, and here I am with my friend Raina, who came on this trip with me. She's a model friend and she was doing some shoots and I was doing some shoots down here, and we just thought it would be fun to go together. And I gave her a point and shoot to use as well, so I might do a different video going through our point and shoot shots because I shot quite a few shots on a point and shoot as well. I feel like we've been neglecting the food portion of this show quite a bit, so I thought I'd show us some footage of us going to this really nice restaurant as well. But here we are at Flower Drum, which is a lovely restaurant. The food was really good, decently priced if you go for the lunch menu. If you have a decent amount of money to spend on food, well then dinner menu looks pretty good too, but yeah, we weren't going to too many fancy restaurants just because I am unfortunately not rich. I do want to try find ways to incorporate food a bit more into these videos like we used to, and so yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. I will say the braised beef from this restaurant honestly might be the favorite beef dish I've had that I can remember, but yeah, I thought the braised beef was quite amazing and would highly recommend it if you ever go down. And for me, personality is kind of the reason why I like to shoot film, because it just has like a different and more unique vibe to it. And for me, I do kind of feel that Portra 400 just doesn't really have that a lot of the time for me. Hope you liked the videos. Please let me know your thoughts on the film, the images, cameras, in the comments below. Feel free to like and subscribe to this post notifications sooner when there's a new episode. Anyway, I'm Josh. This has been FramesPerSecond. Get out there, shoot some film.